Okay, good evening. I'll call the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order for tonight. Can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Alexander,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner DeBrava, Commissioner Ellis,
Here.
Commissioner Hayes,
Here.
Commissioner Hyder,
Here.
Commissioner Mann.
Here.
Thank you. First item of business is the approval of the agenda for tonight. If no one has a change, if you do, let us know, but if you don't, somebody needs to make a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hayes,
Yay.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder.
Aye.
All right, next item of business is the approval of the minutes of the May 12, 2023 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, a copy of which you should have in your packet. Does anybody have any changes to that? If not, somebody make a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do you hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hyder,
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander,
Abstain.
Commissioner Mann,
Abstain.
Commissioner Ellis.
Aye. Okay, we're going to have one public hearing tonight. We have some meeting procedures. If staff would read the meeting procedures, please.
The Planning and Zoning Commission holds public hearings as required by law and provides recommendations to City Council on matters relating to land use planning, zoning, and the subdivision of land. Any person who has an interest in the subject matter of a hearing will have the opportunity to provide testimony and present evidence to the Commission during the public hearing. Speakers are required to conduct themselves in an orderly and respectful manner. Disruptive behavior, including applause, yelling, speaking out of turn, or other inappropriate behaviors will not be tolerated. Additionally, the following applies to any person addressing the Commission. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes unless authorized additional time by the chairperson. Speakers must speak at the podium unless previous arrangements have been made by the chairperson. Speakers must legibly print their names and address on the sign-in sheet at the podium prior to speaking. Speakers must begin by stating their name and address. Speakers should speak clearly and into the microphone. The chairperson will announce the subject of the hearing, followed by a report from staff. The chairperson will then open the public hearing to the applicant, followed by those in favor of the application and those opposed to the application. The chairperson will close the public hearing during this time. The commission will then discuss amongst themselves. The public may not address the commission after the close of the public hearing unless requested by the chairperson. The Planning and Zoning Commission shall base their recommendation and/or decision on information and evidence presented during the public hearing. This decision, if required by the application, will be forwarded in writing to City Council for further consideration.
Thank you, Chris. I'm calling the one and only public hearing tonight, which is rezone 23-002, a public hearing and possible vote to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 17.19 acres located at 3020 North York Avenue from agricultural AG to heavy industrial M2. Hear the staff report, please.
The property subject to the rezoning application consists of approximately 17.19 acres of land located at 3020 North York Avenue. The property currently has 2 single-family dwelling units. The following paragraphs contain brief analysis of present site conditions as well as the proposal's relationship to the adopted city plans. The city's comprehensive plan generally encourages the expansion of commercial and industrial development through a proactive rezoning of land at appropriate locations. Appropriate locations are described generally throughout the plan with regard to the relationship of land at particular locations to infrastructure capable of supporting various intensities and densities of uses. Support market conditions to develop a greater variety of commercial options and support new development that is well connected to the existing community through encouraging development that improves and expand upon existing infrastructure and promoting development aligning with current adopted plans of the city. It also encourages the redevelopment and degradation of the former Brookline area through supporting the development of an industrial commercial center with transportation and infrastructure. The rezoning of this parcel is consistent with the city's adopted plans. The general trend in the vicinity of the subject property consists of commercial and industrial uses of varying intensities along State Highway MM and Sawyer Road. The subject property is adjacent to general commercial to the south and surrounded by medium-density single-family R1M and agriculture AG to the west along York Avenue, light industrial M1 and general commercial C2 to the north along Sawyer Road. The heavy industrial M2 zoning district is intended to allow a wide range of commercial and industrial uses. The development of the property will require connecting to existing municipal water and sewer mains located near the property. Both an 8-inch water main and 8-inch gravity sewer main are located on or an adjacent right-of-way of the subject parcel. The sewer will flow from the site to the Brookline South Lift Station, McElhaney Lift Station, and Schuler Creek Lift Station, respectively, before being pumped to the wastewater treatment facility. The water system named lift stations and wastewater treatment facility currently have capacity to serve the intended use. A traffic impact study was required for the rezoning application. Development of the property will require adherence to the city's transportation plan, adopted transportation map, and improvements required by the TIS for build-out. The subject parcel does not contain any areas of special flood hazard area, and the subject parcel or property does not contain any identified sinkholes. Staff considers the proposed zoning and map amendment rezoning to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, consistent with the trend of development in the vicinity of the site, compatible with surrounding land uses, and able to be adequately served by municipal facilities. Based upon this analysis, performed without the benefit of evidence and testimony of the public hearing, staff recommends the approval of this application.
Thank you. I'll call first for the applicant. If the applicant's here and wishes to speak, please come forward and talk to us.
My name's Corey Warner with Olson at 550 St. Louis in Springfield, Missouri. I'm here on behalf of the developer, which, as you know, the developer is rezoning for the owner, James Wade. And just to go along with the staff report, we agree with everything that was in there. The traffic study that was done for the subject property was approved by MoDOT. They had no comment on it. We agree with the traffic study that there would be no negative impact to the surrounding area. And as the report mentioned, that there will be some public improvements done on the facility to include. Sorry, yes. The public improvements will include some improvements to the roadway at the frontage of the development for that additional truck flow that will just be to accommodate to the drive entrance to the development. And we also plan on improving stormwater detention for the development to make sure there's no downstream flooding. There's a large drainage area that goes through the adjacent railroad to the east that we'll also be picking up with our detention facility as well. And here to answer any other questions you may have.
We may.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll next call for anyone who is in favor of the application who wishes to speak to come forward. Nobody? wants to bite on that, so we'll go to anyone that's not in favor of the application who wishes to speak. Please come forward. If you can, that would be great.
I'm Vincent Birch. This is my wife Janice. We live at 2891.
Hold on just a minute, Mr. Birch. Can you all hear back there? Is it okay? Can you hear? Is it loud enough?
Yeah, does it
Thank
help
you.
if I use this?
No, you were fine. I just wanted to make sure the microphone was projecting back in the back.
Okay. I'm Vincent Birch. My wife Janice. We live at 2891 North York Avenue. And we're a little concerned with the noise and the traffic. York Avenue is not a road upon which large trucks can travel safely. Not at all. We had an 18-wheeler come through the other night, took out a power pole, three primary wires, one conductor of a 115K, probably transmission line. It was either 115K or 161. Our power was out over the entire area for 12 hours. And that's not the first time that pole's been hit. So I'm not sure about the traffic. They had something blocked MM Highway one day, and we had a steady stream of 18-wheelers loaded with petrol going down there all morning long. Wasn't very nice. They hit it more than once. And they hit the trees on the other side of the corner that are by the road. A lot of broken poles. We're concerned with the runoff. We're concerned with the pollution from whatever's going to go in there and the traffic that it's going to bring in. And the noise. So it's kind of disruptive to a residential area.
Understand. Thank you, Mr. Birch. It's Birch, correct?
Yeah, B-U-R-C-H.
Thank you.
And the first is V-I-N-S-O-N.
Okay.
From my son, like I said.
Is there anyone else that's opposed to the application who wishes to speak? Yes, sir. Come forward and give us your name and tell us what you want us to know.
My name is David Simmons. I live at 2979 North York, directly west of this particular piece of property. We're under the assumption that the sale of the property will not go through without this rezoning. Our biggest concern, my biggest concern, is the truck traffic. 12 hours, none of y'all lived in her. I had 3 deep freezes. When I spoke to the Republic police officer about how this truck, who drove past a no truck sign and took the power out, how they were what he was gonna be fined, and how I could be compensated for the 3 deep freezes, $1,300, $1,500 worth of meat I lost. I was told he wouldn't be cited because he's not a local person. When Amazon was crammed down our throats, we got one concession, and that was the lighting. We got no problems. Amazon is Amazon. Ain't nobody going to change that, and we're stuck with it. We have to deal with the traffic. This traffic study, when Amazon was built, York Avenue was destroyed. I've been in the construction industry 37 years. I've worked with Olson Staffing on several projects. We asked and asked when the power pole was going to be relocated. Drive by there and look at it. It's got battle scars from knee high to 13.6 high. It's never been replaced. It's the same stuff. When Amazon was being built, we were told it would not affect us. How many hundreds of loads of dirt came down York Avenue? How many asphalt paving machines and rollers, backhoes, Pieces of heavy equipment came down that street, and everybody told me at the city council meeting that it wouldn't affect me or my street. It did. It tore the daylights out of it. If I'd have tried that as a private contractor, the city'd have been on my case in a half a heartbeat. But because it was Amazon, there was nothing said and nothing done. It's been crammed down our throats again. Everybody jumped through this iron grain development. Have we leased a square inch of that property yet? Have we had an offer to lease a square inch of that property yet? No. It's a great big commercial empty development. We're concerned the traffic. It's a 16-foot wide chip and seal street, period. It's been bored under. You can feel the humps in it. There's been no drainage improvements made, period. I understand that the developer will make those drainage improvements. It's y'all's fire department that gets the floods now. Station 2, we've seen water all the way up to the edge of the building on Station 2 from the drainage from that property and the property east of it. Drainage has been an issue there forever. We were told if we wanted to add a driveway, we'd have to buy a $25 culvert permit, and we'd have to get that culvert approved. Why? Nobody has a culvert on that road yet. It's never been addressed before. But it just seems like this has become a not in my backyard. Let's shove it in somebody else's backyard. Tim Forrest Plumbing Business. Your map shows the fire station. It shows Tim. Tim's one of the best neighbors we've ever had, ever. He takes good care of us. The gas company, those boys are respectful. They don't come down the road. The fire department. We have 2 fire departments that operate off York Avenue. And it's a 16-foot wide chip and seal street. It's not designed for commercial traffic. When iron grain was laid out, they specifically put heavy paving into it. It's all heavy paved. It's all designed for truck traffic. There's 9 inches of asphalt and 7 inches of base under it. Y'all are going to approve this. The city's going to approve it because we want development in Republic. We want Republic to grow. I'm not against that. I can't change that. What I am concerned about is that piece of property sits directly across from me. When they get ready to widen it, how much land am I going to lose? Is it going to come off of my side of the street, or is it going to come off of their side of the street? Y'all are going to approve the rezoning, and the city's going to approve it because we all want development. We want to grow. But who pays the price? When the sewer came down, David come to us and said, hey, we're going to run sewer down the front of your yard. We're going to give you a city sewer hookup. Big deal. None of us have had it before. We're all on septic. We're going to run rural water to you. You all will have water. Guys, I'll put my utility bill, my water and sewer bill up against anybody's. I pay 1/5 a month of what anybody in the city of Republic pays for water and sewer. They came in, they put the sewer. We were fine with it. We'd like these trees taken care of. Shaky, they're in the right of way. The contractor will take care of that. Well, when both trees died and blew across York Avenue, the city came out with a backhoe, shoved them into the yard and said, Shaky, you ought to get them cleaned up. I asked you to remove them when you were putting the sewer in, guys. Come on. Now all of a sudden it's my problem because y'all put a sewer line across my property, killed 2 trees, and they fell over in the road. And now I'm responsible for them. We're feeling like this is going to wind up the same way. The lights, the traffic, the noise. You know, the light pollution, I will say this, Amazon was good. McLean's was good about the lights. And then the church built that new gymnasium. Got nothing against churches, but them some of the brightest searchlights I've ever seen in my entire life. And they shine into the back of my house 7 months out of the year. And what do we do about it? We go to the church and the church says, it's such a high crime neighborhood. I got news for folks. I've lived in that house 11 years. It's paid for free and clear, and I've never owned a front door house key. I've got a 180-pound dog that doesn't like a lot of people, but I have never had a house key. But the church got away with putting those lights up because of the high crime neighborhood. Really? Where did that come from? It didn't come from the people who live on that street and live on that road. We realize what's going to happen with MM. We've seen the plans. We've been to the meetings. We know where the diverging diamond goes. We know where the 5 lanes go. Is there not going to be anything left of Brookline until it's paved over and turned into a 1 million square foot building? Everybody says if you don't like it, move. My place is paid for. I'm 57 years old. I do not want to start another mortgage. My wife is retired. She's on a fixed income. How the heck do I afford another piece of ground? How the heck at 57 do I expect to start over again? So I can't just pack up and move. I can't just find another place to live. I like where I live. We bought that place. The neighbors, Mr. Wade's, this is to rezone his property. He's the best neighbor I've ever had in my life. I hate to see him go. He came over to the house with tears in his eyes. And he said, "You're not going to like me." And I said, "James, I love you." And he said, "You're not going to like me." And he told me what he had done. You can't fault a man for bettering himself. I don't fault him. He inherited part of that property, and he busted his butt to pay for the other part of that property. If he can make a tidy profit on it and not have to work again, that's more power to him. You can't fault somebody for that. But the rest of us are going to be stuck with it, crammed down our throats. That's our concern. All I'm asking is to be heard. And when y'all pass this thing, take into consideration, we have a school bus that comes by to pick up our 2 granddaughters, and that's it. That bus comes by twice a day, every Monday through Friday, to pick up our 2 grandkids. One's a senior, one's a sophomore. They'll be out in another couple of years. There aren't kids on this street. We're all old people. You know, we enjoy the peace and quiet. The trains, you get used to them after a while. It's part of it. But now we're going to cram another operation, another Amazon. I'm not scared to say the word. Another Amazon's going to go next door to me. I got one out the back door, and now I get one off the front door. All we're asking is a fair shake. If you're going to cram this down our throats, please, take into consideration that it's been agricultural. It's been a neighborhood. It's never been industrial. It's never been commercial. It's never been that. I appreciate y'all's time.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and talking to us. No clapping. I do have a question of you, though.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry. I want to make sure I understood what your issues were. Your principal issue, or maybe not principal issue, but you spent a lot of time talking about the street that you
Yes.
have, and
It's 16
it's
foot
not
wide.
wide enough? Is that
It's
what
16 foot wide, and it's chip and seal.
Okay, so what you're saying is, and frankly, I don't know what's going in there, and I'm going to find out, and we talk here. But are you worried about the weight or the size of the vehicles that are going to go down that?
We have a real good idea with that zoning. It's not going to be a taxi cab lot or an Uber
Well,
lot. It's going to be
yeah.
tractor trailers. The street won't.
I don't
take
know
it.
that. That's what your concern is?
Yes, my
Okay.
concerns are the width of the road and the construction of the road,
Okay.
and who loses real estate.
Can you point out to me where your property is?
Right there.
Okay.
That's me.
And so you're directly,
This is an empty lot.
okay, so you're directly across the street from the,
Right
okay,
here is where they drove the stakes.
got it,
Right in there.
got it.
And I'm going to lose. What's a Republic City street? 30 foot back a curb, gentlemen. 30 feet back a curb
Right.
on a city
Yeah.
street.
I don't know what that one would be improved to. That's a good guess.
We're 16 foot now. So am I going to lose 8 foot of my
I
front
can't
yard?
answer these questions
That-
for you, but
but
it's
you
a
asked what my
concern of
concern
yours.
is.
It's a
Yes.
concern of yours, the width of the street.
Well, it's got to
where-
be widened.
I got it.
Okay.
I'm going to ask questions. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else that opposes this that wants to come forward?
My name is Melanie Clark, and I live at 2752 North Atlantic in Brookline, so I'm right around the corner from all these people. I have several concerns, but first I would like to show you a picture of one of the 18-wheelers that tried to take the curve on York. This is right in front of Mr. and Mrs. Birch's house. It wiped out the telephone pole and it wiped out the neighbor's fence that was never fixed. And it blocked traffic for quite a while. 18-wheelers have no business. As Shaky said, the streets are very narrow. When a fire truck comes by, we just have to pull over in the grass and let them pass by. We were not made for large trucks and all that kind of traffic. The roads are narrow. This was a neighborhood. It's always been a neighborhood. These are my neighbors. I know all of them personally. When COVID hit and things were tough, we made it our goal in life to meet every single one of our neighbors and make sure their needs were taken care of. We have also across from where this is being built down next to the Birches, a couple houses, there's a 93-year-old Air Force veteran. He cannot do much. He's pretty much immobile. And we decided to mow his grass because it was out of control. And we did not even know Shaky and Wayetta at the time. And he showed up and brush hogged and helped us. I mean, that is what our neighborhood is right now. We are all very close. We have dinner together. There's kids now living on my street. They come over every day to play in my yard. This is a neighborhood. This was not meant to be industrial. And when the Trifecta warehouse came in, they blocked our streets. The neighbors directly across from it on both sides, they put dump trucks and other stuff parked in those people's yards without their permission and blocked their driveways. And one lady had a dump truck parked backed right up to her garage door for 3 days without her permission. She could not get her car out of the garage. So this is the consequence of building commercial buildings in a neighborhood where we usually walk the streets, we walk our dogs, we ride bicycles. It's always been extremely family friendly. Since Amazon has been built, we have had more foot traffic and more cars coming in. So I'm very happy to hear that Shaky's street has been safe. We have had a few issues, and it's because of the building across from us and people coming in. So I've kind of had a reputation with my neighbors, but I'm kind of the Batman of the neighborhood. And I have, run people off that were trying to do drug deals. And we had Amazon workers blocking our road in our neighborhood so they could do drugs. And I'm consistently calling the police, and that is just the consequence of the few buildings around us. If there is an industrial building in the middle of our neighborhood with narrow roads, we are going to have noise pollution, we are going to have a lot more traffic, we are going to have trucks that it cannot handle. These roads cannot handle it. And there's going to be an increase of people because who knows who shows up when there is those kind of buildings around? Who knows who's working there? We will no longer feel like our neighborhood is the safe family environment that we have enjoyed. That is the reason why we moved there. That is the reason why we bought a house there. And like I said, we know every single one of our neighbors personally. We also have 3 Ukrainian families. They could not be here tonight. They do not speak English. But they had their homes taken by war. And now they're here enjoying the freedom of America, and I see their American flag flying in their yard. And now I have to tell them that they could possibly be losing their homes here in America. And this is why we are fighting for our neighborhood, to keep it residential and to keep that family feeling. And there are so many more areas all around where industrial could be built. We're not opposed to that at all. We are proud to see Republic growing. But why in a neighborhood? Can we not just keep one neighborhood safe and keep it residential and encourage good neighbors that we all need?
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Yes, sir. Come forward, please.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's William Clark. That was my wife you just heard. I live in Brookline. I've been there for 6 years. I oppose this. I oppose the distribution of this land that could be used for real estate to bring in good money. We have good industrial parks around us that can facilitate this warehouse that most likely, unfortunately in this area, will be out of business within about 2 to 4 years. It'll become a warehouse or another person's warehouse or probably a flea market. I oppose it because the structure and the infrastructure is not supporting it. The land, like stated, floods. And the roads itself, as you can see right there, as it comes into a hard crook, going up to Trifecta, is not good at all. With the railroad crossing being deleted pretty soon, as we have a new overpass, as development continues on the other side, Trifecta will be coming. Trifecta's only way out is unfortunately down Hale Street or Main Street there in Brookline. If this is passed, and I hope it doesn't, I just don't see any gains. I see gains where we can put industrial and good infrastructure over on the industrial parks on the other side. But this is good real estate land. It's people that'll take care of it. We won't see people taking smoking breaks out there in the off hours from Amazon and whatnot. I hope that you guys choose not to rezone. I don't see any point in this becoming industrial or commercial. I'd like it to remain residential. I will be here every time that we have an issue like this because I'm going to root for Brookline. I'm nothing opposed to growth in our city, but let's keep it growth that makes sense. To me, this does not make sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's opposed to the application that wishes to speak? Seeing no one, I'll close this hearing and we will discuss. What's the status of let's just start out with some of the questions. I have questions. Can you describe what they're putting in there? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was in what you read, but I didn't.
Currently, city staff hasn't had like a formal application, so we don't know exactly what's going in there. But within M2, it has the highest intensity of uses allowed in that zoning if it were to be rezoned.
Okay, and just so you all understand, even if I was told tonight what was going to go in there, if the zoning changes, it can be anything that's M2. So it could be some other project could go in there too. I don't want to lock anybody's thought that it's going to be X and it's always going to be X, because that's not the way zoning works. Once we rezone, they can do anything that's within the parameters of M2 in the city code. And that's what Patrick read. Okay.
What all would that entail?
I'm sorry. This is our part of the meeting.
Ransom.
Yeah.
Do we want to ask Olson maybe to comment on your question?
What's that?
Like what the plans are? Do we want to ask the engineer to comment?
Well, the applicant? you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to tell us what you're going to do, what they're going to do, or what they're proposing to do?
Yeah, so it's still early on in the development. The intended use would be warehouse with office space in it. It will likely be broken up into different phases. Right now, we don't have anyone, company selected or anything like that. It's just they're working on development of some warehouse spaces with office.
Okay. And that would require trucks to go up and down York?
Yes, so trucks would be limited to a single drive on York Street, and there'd be the road widening to accommodate those trucks, and there'd be signage that doesn't allow truck traffic to go south on York past that drive.
And the road widening would be on the applicant?
Yes, that'd be responsible of the applicant, yes.
Okay. And I heard also an issue about drainage. I heard from what was read at the beginning that there was going to be a retention basin or something like that.
Yeah, we'd put in a basin to accommodate any of the additional runoff that's part of the development. That way, we're leaving the downstream conditions in better condition what they are right now.
I mean that is not only the goal; it's the requirement.
Yes.
You can't allow more water to leave the property than leaves it on when you take it
Right.
and it's rezoned.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me ask one dumb question, maybe.
Sure.
Is there a reason the entrance can't be off Sawyer? And that may be a city question, but
So the current layout would have a drive entrance on York and Sawyer.
Okay.
That way to be able to circulate traffic.
I'm sorry. What do you mean by circulate traffic?
For just flow of traffic, and I believe that we'd also have to have 2 drive entrances just for fire access as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Okay. Is there a plan to work on the road on York? And I hear I'm talking about. I heard Mr. Simmons talk about chip and seal, and is there a plan to fix that road or make it better? Or?
So the developer is responsible for widening that road at that time. That will be on the property. To address your question earlier about who's responsible for the additional, it would be on them, not you. So that would be additional right-of-way would be taken from the property in question tonight. The widening would be the responsibility of the developer. Repaving of whatever they tore up during that process would be also on the developer. Now, the rest of York is a city street that is the city's responsibility. So south of their southernmost driveway would be the city's.
Okay, from going south from the entrance on Sawyer as an example.
It'd be the entrance off of York, wherever that
sorry.
ends up being. We don't
I
have development
misspoke.
plans
Okay.
at this time that show where exactly that is going to be. But yes,
Is there any plans to do that
to
at this time?
I think that would be up to the developer. It is a requirement of the traffic impact study that they do widening on this street, but where their actual driveway ends up, I don't think they've quite figured out precisely yet.
Well, I take it from the information we received during the hearing that trucks were traveling south on York and tried to make that what would be a left-hand turn to go over to Sawyer.
Yes, that's what
it's. Where the infamous pole is? Okay.
Yes, and unfortunately, like many of the citizens said, there are signs out there already. There are signs on Sawyer that say that as well, no trucks. Unfortunately, not everybody listens to those, and you end up with those situations. It's something we talked about with Trifecta when they went in there as well, is you probably can't make that turn in a semi-truck. So similar deal here. The one thing I will say about this, if they do have a better circulation internally, it gives trucks who turn down this road unintentionally or don't realize there's this sharp turn somewhere else to get off this road before they get to that hairpin turn and find out they can't make it.
Are you telling me that, what do you call the adjustment on the back end of a trailer? The
Tandem.
I'm sorry?
The tandem axles.
Yeah, where you can move them up to make a quicker turn. Does it take it that to make that turn?
I would personally, I wouldn't take a semi down that road.
Okay.
That road is not.
I'm just
You
asking.
folks are right. That road is not intended for that. It does shorten your turning radius, but I still wouldn't try it if it were me. Personally.
All right.
Let me ask a follow-up, Ransom, what you were asking. So if they come in and widen the road, are they only going to widen it down to their entrance, or is there going to be work done further south that road as part of the effort?
That is correct. They are only responsible
Okay.
to widen to their entrance.
Yeah, I mean, that
Yeah.
comes off them.
Yeah.
So,
And then one zoning question, really, from a city perspective, like they're obviously going M2, like what they've described, or like an industrial park like that, could it be done in a lower, lower dense zoning, like M1 or something like that? Like, is there other zoning options here that potentially fit the purpose?
As we've discussed, we don't know. We don't have a prospective client. I think the idea is, I would assume the idea in going after the M2 is it increases the possibility
Sure.
for those clients. But yes, M1 does allow for warehousing.
we couldn't do that tonight.
No, that's
Correct.
not a
M2 is the
decision
only
that can
thing
be
in
made
front
by
of us.
this commission.
Right.
Anybody else have any questions? Anybody want to make a motion? Don't all jump up at once. Somebody make a motion and we'll vote. Otherwise, we'll sit here and stare at each other all night.
I'll make a motion to vote on rezone 23-002.
You're making a vote to recommend the approval of the application?
I was making a motion to vote.
Well, that's not what we need.
Okay.
I need an application. I need a motion to recommend approval
Okay.
of the application to change the zoning classification.
Okay.
Saying that doesn't mean
Yep,
you have
got
to
it.
vote it.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll do that. You want me to say it, or you said it well eloquently for me? But
So
I'll make a motion to vote to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 17.19 acres located at 3020 North York Avenue from agricultural to heavy industrial M2.
okay, thank you. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Any questions about the, do we need any discussion, any questions about, from the commission about the motion and the second? Call the roll.
Commissioner Ellis,
Nay?
Commissioner Hayes,
Nay.
Commissioner Hyder,
Nay.
Commissioner Mann,
Nay.
Commissioner Alexander.
Nay.
Thank you all for sharing. Understand that this will go to the city council.
Yes, it'll go to City Council next Tuesday.
So, and they will have a hearing like we did, and
This is the public hearing element of
Oh, okay.
for the item.
got it.
But it is a public meeting and everyone is free to attend.
Yes. Okay, next item of business is other business. Is there any other business? No. Citizen participation. Is there anyone that wishes to come forward, talk to us about something other than what we've already talked about here for about 30 minutes? No. Builds Department update, ever popular?
No update.
Okay. Before we adjourn, I'd like to say we appreciate everybody coming, everybody giving us their point of view. Speaking for myself, I respect people. I live in this town, and I respect people who, I respect your use of your property. So it doesn't mean that every time we all vote the same way. We don't. And in this case, you all came forward and gave us several things to chew on. And we appreciate you coming and being very civil tonight. This is a hard issue. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
That's all right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Mann?
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder?
Aye.
Commissioner Hayes?
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis?
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander?
I want to vote nay, but I'll say aye. I just want to be